Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. I hope you all had a lovely Christmas and a happy new year. Now in today's video, this is our first video of 2026. I thought it'd be a great idea to show you guys how I edited my favorite photo of 2025, and that was of the shorted owl. So this is the before that you can see now on screen, and this is the after. Now I'm going to do my best and try and show you from start to finish how I edited this whole image using masks, denoise, AI or any other features I use. I'm only using Lightroom. I don't use any other editing software, so everything will be done in Lightroom. Now, I'm not a pro Lightroom user. I know some things could be done a lot easier, but this is kind of like the way that I've currently learned to edit. Now, I'm always trying to learn and improve, so if you have any tips and tricks or anything that if there's any way for me to do it quicker, please leave them down below as well. And if you have any questions, or if you want to see more, also let me know as well. Cool, so let's get right into the edit. Okay, so the first thing that I do is, with any picture, is to crop. Now, for all the genres of photography that I've done, I do like to isolate my subjects. So I include some background, but it's the focus of the picture usually is the bird or the person or whatever it may be. So I crop 4:5 because I use my photos for social media. And then I press X on my keyboards, and you can change from portrait to landscape. So I want to do that, and then I want to bring this in and make it a little bit tighter. So I think for now, this is fine. So there's enough room for the bird to breathe on the sides specifically, and then it's even on up and down. And then I will change this throughout the edit if I see that I prefer it a little bit tighter or a little bit wider. So after that, I'll just apply my lens corrections, and then that kind of shows you as well what lens you use. So if this is wrong, you can click on this and then you can see a bunch of other lenses. I use a Sony camera, so yeah. And then I will apply denoise. Now I'll leave it at 50, and then throughout the edit, depending on how it looks, I may lower it as well. So I'm gonna click on this, let Lightroom do its thing, and then I'll come back once this is done. Okay, well that's done now. So the next step will be focusing on the bird. Now there's multiple ways that you can do this, and I mainly just edit with masks. I don't usually use the basic tab here on Lightroom. I will if I want the specific slider to affect the whole image, but most of the time I am using masks, as then I can control how certain areas of the image looks. And I only usually do masks for the upper half, the bottom half, and then left and right of the image as well. Cool, so the first mask I'll do will be the subject. Now there's multiple ways you can do this. You can just press subject mask here, and in Lightroom we'll use this AI to detect the subject. I actually like to use the object mask. So if you click that, you then have two options. The first one here, you can just brush your subject and then the AI will detect it. Or you can use this one. This one is just, you select it, so you can just hover and then Lightroom will do its thing. Okay, so the difference really between subject mask and object mask is that I think the object mask is a little bit more refined and does better on smaller details and selecting the image. Now you can see it has selected some areas outside, but with the subject mask, if I show you, keep a close eye on this area here of the bird. So if I delete that one and then do a subject mask, you see how it's now selected this area. So the object mask for me is just a better refined. Now you can go in here with a brush, but I think that's just more work and you're better off just using the object mask. So we'll do that now. So there we go. Okay, so you can do that there. And then if you have multiple people as well, I think the object mask, if you want to edit everyone individually, is a lot better for that as well. So now my goal is just to brighten up the bird, because currently the bird is way too dark. So we're going to increase the exposure. I'm actually going to zoom into 100%. My computer's a little bit slow as I'm recording my screen while editing, so bear with me a little bit. So we're going to up the exposure quite a bit. We're also going to up the shadows. Oh, that's the whites. Up the shadows as well. And then also quite a bit. And then we're going to drop the highlights. This will now affect mainly this lower bit of the feathers of the wing and also this back bit of the wing as well. And there we go. So I'm going to take it all the way. I'm actually going to drop the exposure back a little bit. Okay, now you can see now this area is really bright. The face is really dark. So we're going to focus on the face separately. But before we do that, we're going to go to mask 1. We're going to right click and we're going to duplicate and invert mask. That's going to select everything but the bird, so the background. And then that's like the easiest way to do a background mask. You can check sometimes because Lightroom gets a little bit confused. You can tell here it has selected some part of the wings. So what you can do is we can press subtract. And then you can press brush and just brush these areas. Okay, so in this part, what I'm going to do is just increase the exposure. Don't worry if this is getting super bright. We're going to also drop the highlights. And that would obviously fix that, but also increase the shadows a little bit. We're just bringing back a little bit and just getting everything perfect, but it doesn't really matter as much because I'm going to work on them individually. I just wanted to bring some of the background back into the image. Okay, so I'm going to focus on the face right now, and I'm going to use a radial gradient. So I'm going to zoom into 300% onto the face. I'm going to use radial gradient. I'm going to make that so it covers the whole face, just like that. I'm going to move it a little bit. I'm going to remove show overlay just so I can see it, and it removes the redness that shows where your mask is. I'm going to do a few things here. So I'm going to increase exposure because I want it to be brighter. I'm going to add some contrast to just darken some areas, and actually I'm going to drop the exposure down a little bit. I'm going to up the shadows and then drop the highlights a little bit. Actually, we'll go all the way. You can tell by the face is quite blue, so I'm going to also add some warmth to the bird to remove that as well. And I think for now, that's actually not too bad. I also want to work on the eyes as well. And to be honest, we can actually do that now. But this usually changes for me, and I try and do this at the end. But what I do is I will make a brush mask, and I'll just brush around the yellow areas of the bird. We're going to up the exposure. We don't want it to be too bright. Add some contrast to it so it darkens that yellow. I also change the temperature because you can tell how it looks. It will just add a little bit more yellowness to it, I guess is the word. And that's pretty much it. Like, I don't do much more. As you can tell, the eyes are very piercing, so you can see them quite well. I'm actually going to change the crop on this image as I think it's too wide right now. Okay, so let's work on the background now. So we're going to go back to our masks. We're going to go a linear gradient. We're going to start here from the bottom all the way up where the horizon meets, or where the top of the image and the bottom meet. And then we're going to subtract. We're going to go object, and we're going to subtract the bird or the owl from that mask. And then what we're going to do is we're going to drop the exposure a little bit, not too much. Actually, let's raise it back up. Drop the shadows, but ideally I want to make this warmer. Now the sun was coming in, there's loads of oranges, there's a little bit of pink in the sky, so I want to emphasize that. I want to bring that back in. So you can tell there's little green areas here. I'm actually going to go on the opposite. I'm going to introduce some pinks into the image. That's too much. I think that's fine. And then we're going to do another mask, and we're going to go up top, and then we are going to just select the black area. Again, we're going to subtract object, and then we're going to subtract the bird from the mask. Okay, so for this area, it's quite difficult because if you brighten it too much, it looks weird. If you darken it too much, it also looks weird. So you kind of want to find a happy medium. I'm not going to touch the exposure in this one. I'm only going to really touch the shadows, and I'm going to bring it up a little bit. Just a tad bit. I'm also going to include some warmth to it, so we can mix these lighter parts a little bit more orangey, and we can also add some greens to it as well to just emphasize the trees, and I think that's okay. Now, ideally on the original image, I actually removed this area here, and I'll show what it actually looks like. In this one, I'm actually not going to do that because it took me so long for the AI to actually do what I wanted it to do. Actually, we can do one test. So we use the removal tool, the first one, so the remove tool, and then we use generative AI, Jesus, and then we untick detect objects. We will then make this, actually I think that's a good size. We'll select the area that we want to do. I don't like to go too close to the bird because sometimes it picks up on things. And we'll just maybe just do it like that, and then we'll let Lightroom do its thing with AI, and then I'll come back and show you what it looks like. Oh, actually it's done. That was quicker than I thought. So yeah, so this is what the type of thing that it was doing. It's not perfect. It was just adding different colors, other things to the image, and I really didn't like it. And it took me, I don't even know how many tries to get it done. So in this image, I'm not going to actually do this. I'm going to leave it how it is. I don't think it looks too bad. Just for me, just a tad bit distracting, and I wish that was just pretty much one color. So I'm really happy with this image so far. It's looking really good. There's a few things that I want to focus on, and that's the left and right of our image. Now, we're going to use another linear gradient. We're going to come from the left, and we are going to come about halfway so we can see where the mask kind of feathers out. Again, we're going to subtract our owl from the picture. Okay, so the sun is coming from this area, so here we kind of want to include some nice warm light. So we're going to increase exposure a little bit, tiny bit, and then we're going to add some, oh that's too much, way too much. Add some warmth to this. I'm also going to do one more thing, and I'll show you guys that in a second. Okay, so I'm quite happy with this image. There's a few extra things I want to do, and I think I did this in the original, which I just remembered. I actually didn't want the light to look like it was coming from behind the bird. Didn't want it to look backlit, so I think I did add one extra mask to do something to the image, and I'll show you that at the end. But first, we'll do the color mixer. And I'm not trying to do much here. I'm just trying to look at the colors that I have in this image, and I can see there's a little bit of greens up here. There's some yellow, some oranges on the bird, and obviously at the bottom of the image there's also some blues, and I'll show you the blues first. So if we go to saturation, we go to the blue and we up the saturation. You can tell a little bit here, but you can't really see that, but it's mainly on the bird. You can see the areas that's blue. So what I like to do here is I just lower the saturation quite a bit, and then you can tell for this image it doesn't really make much difference, but usually it'll go like really grey, so just be careful when you're doing that. I'll then go to the lumens tab. I'm not really trying to saturate a lot of the picture, so here I'm going to look at the oranges, and that's going to affect the bird and the bottom mainly. I'm actually going to darken it. I think this brings some of the browns back on the bird, and then darkens this area here a little bit, and then I can always go back to the mask if I want to brighten this area. And that's why I work in masks, because if I do this, that affects the whole image. I can then go back to my mask and then adjust and have more control over my edits. So I actually want to also target the greens. If we go green here, you can see up in this area here, and ideally we just want to just saturate that, make that a little bit more darker. I think with the lumens, I'm going to just brighten it. I think I'm going to just darken it a little bit. Okay, so just looking at this image now, I'm happy. I do want to increase the brightness of the bird now. I think the background's a little bit too bright now. We're then going to go back to our bird. Mask, and then we're going to up the shadows a little bit more, and I think I'm going to up the exposure as well, so it makes it a little bit brighter, and I think that does look better. Now you can see in this image now the face and the bird pretty much look evenly exposed. And what I did in the original picture is that I actually added another mask. I added a radial gradient mask, and I did a big circle, and I actually made it look like, or I tried to make it look like, don't know if it worked, that the actual light is coming from the front, not the back. So I basically just added a little bit of exposure. I upped the shadows a tiny little bit, and then I added a little bit of temperature. It doesn't really do much. I think it just did enough. And that is it. And that is the edit. And that is our final image. Now I'll put up the before and the after here so you guys can see. But I do hope you enjoyed this video. Like I said at the start, I don't try and do too much to my photos. I know I'd use a lot of masks, but I think that's the best way for you to edit your photo and control every single aspect of your photo. So editing one thing doesn't affect the other. So yeah, again, if you have any suggestions, any recommendations, or any other pictures that after you see me take and you want me to edit and show you guys how I did it, then I'm more than happy to do so. Yeah, have a good one. Take care. Peace.